Hey guys, this is Locke. In this video, I'm going to attempt to address the question if this game is free-to-play friendly or not. And first of all, let me define what I mean by free-to-play friendly. In gacha games, I think I expect the people that are paying to have a significant advantage over the non-playing players, especially if they're paying a ton of money. And this game actually makes it easy for the players that are paying a lot to actually have a significant advantage. For example, players that are spending a lot of money can buy whichever Legendary Plus unit they want for $500 every single time it comes out. That's they typically come out once a month, so almost once a month they're paying at least $500, and that is going to definitely have a huge advantage over free to play players, and I think that's just definitely expected. So I don't think that is the game free to play friendly translates as do free to play friendly players have a chance of beating the top paying players. Like, that is a hard no, and I think that just makes sense, right? Especially for gacha games. If you're talking about different games like MOBA games or something like League of Legends, their money doesn't really pay a factor. It's more about skill. But for games like this, which are gacha based, the paying players are just going to have a huge advantage. There's no question about that. So instead, the question really should be like, if a game is free to play friendly or not. I think it has to meet these two criteria. The first criteria is how often can you pull. I think how much premium currency you get, how often can you pull. I think that's the first question we have to answer to see if this game is free to play friendly or not. And the second question is, if you do get a new unit, how easily can you train it up? Like, does it take like 6 months to train? Does it take 2 months? So on and so on. And I think answering these two questions, for me personally, is what would determine if this game is free to play friendly or not. So to answer the first question, how often can you pull? We have to count up all the rubies and other sources of income that we get to see how much we have and how often we can pull. So to count the ruby generation, like how much ruby you get every month, I'm going to start with the field exploration, like how much we get from that. Every day we get 400 maps. We can claim it every 6 hours, 100 maps every 6 hours, 4 times a day. So you get 400 maps, and that translates to basically 200 rubies that you can get. Sometimes you can get a little bit more if you get lucky with green map drops. And sometimes you might actually have a little bit less because 400 doesn't divide exactly by 30. But by the next 2 days, you make it up, and you are constantly getting 200 rubies every day over the long term, just from the exploration fields. So 200 maps per day translates to 6,000 rubies a month, right? So that's how much you're going to be getting from the field exploration. The second place that you're going to be getting rubies from is the daily check-in reward. So if you add up all of the rubies here, that comes up to 980 rubies. The next place that I'm going to look at is the missions. For the daily mission that you do 10 normal arena a day, you get 40 rubies. And that basically translates to 1,200 rubies a month. There's also a monthly mission as well. If you spend 4,000 arena tokens, you get an additional 500 rubies. Now, the arena ruby income is going to be a little bit tricky because I don't know exactly where everyone is at. So I'm trying to figure out some place which I think most people can get to. And if I look at the rewards, I think anybody within an arena rating of 4,000 or above, which is the challenger rating, you can get about 1,000 rubies a week, which again translates to 4,000 rubies a month. If you're not exactly a challenger and you're getting like crystal or something, then sure, you get a little bit less. You get 800 instead of 1,000. But I think 1,000 is enough. Is common enough to be making this assumption. And by the way, I'm also lowballing it in some other places. Like, for example, in the daily events, you're also getting map rewards as well, like quite a bit of maps. But I'm not counting that, right? So I'm lowballing it in the hopes that if I do miss out here or there, especially with the arena reward, you can make it up with the additional map drops that you're getting. So if I add up all that sources, so that's 6,000 from exploration, 980 from the login, 1,200 from the daily quest, 500 from the monthly quest, and 4,000 from the arena. That comes up to 12,680 rubies over a month. If you divide that by 1,100, because that's how much rubies you need to spend to make a 10 pull, that comes out to 11.5 pulls per month. But I'm not done yet because you are actually able to get pulls from another source, which I haven't mentioned yet. And if you go down to the guild store, You can buy one of these hero summon tickets a day. You can actually also buy, pet and equipment summon as well. And I think you should definitely buy the pet one and the hero one. But we're not talking about the pet one right now. We're only focusing on the hero pulls. So you buy one of these a day, and over a month, assuming you have 30 days in the month, you get 30 more of these hero summon tickets, which translates to 3 more multi-pulls. So now in total, we have 11.5 plus 3. So we have 14.5 pulls per month, which is basically enough to pity any banner you want, right? Because to pity a banner, you need 140 pulls, and I just said that you get 14.5 pulls. So you basically are able to pity one unit every single month if you are a complete free-to-play player. If you're like a little bit of a spender, like you're buying the map packs or something, you're going to get significantly better income. But assuming you're a complete free-to-play player, this is the baseline that you can hope to achieve. Now we're getting units twice a month, right? Every 2 weeks we're typically getting some kind of unit. Like this week we have Macure that's released, and then we also have the Chris Plus. It's really hard to get the Legendary Plus unit, so I typically only focus on the Legendary Heroes. This is what you can pull with these anyway. You can attempt to get really lucky and get the 5% chance and pull this L Plus unit, but typically we're just focusing on the regular Legendary units. So every other unit that comes, you have a 75% chance of pulling them as a free-to-play player, every other unit. And I think, to be honest, as a free-to-play player, I think that's pretty generous. I haven't really seen any other game that gives you an entire pity's worth of income free to play for on a monthly basis. Usually it's like at least every other month or something. In some games it's every 3 months. So I feel like this is one of the more generous games that is enabling you to hit pity every single month. However, there is a little bit of a drawback, right? Because pity is not guaranteed to get the unit that you want. You have to you might be unlucky and get a different unit. You have a 75% chance of hitting the unit that you want, but you might unfortunately sometimes hit pity twice, spend 30k of the ruby, and still get units that you already had, like dupes of something. And that's unfortunate. But for the most part, at least for 75% of the time, I would expect that players are able to get whatever unit that they're pulling for. So I think the first part of the question, like how often you can pull, I think this game is quite free to play friendly in that regard, simply because it's letting you pull hit pity once a month, and it's a pretty long pity, like 140 pulls. Usually the pity counter is much less. It's usually at like 100 or something, right? But 140 is quite high. But I think the reason that they made it so high is because of the huge ruby income that they give you. There are some sources of income that I didn't actually count, so it'll actually be a little bit higher than what I told you. Like, for example, every month we seem to be getting a new chapter, and with the chapter scenarios, we are getting ruby as rewards from this, which I didn't count. And we are also getting different kinds of events, like the one that's going on right now, the New Year Festival special event is giving us an extra 1,100 rubies, which I didn't count. And typically every other week, we usually have some kind of event like this, so it's actually going to be even more than what I said. But as a baseline, I think this is what we can expect. And I already feel this is generous anyway. So I feel like, the first part of the question, I feel like this is a pretty generous game for free-to-play players because of what I just said, the very forgiving and generous amount of ruby that it gives us. Now the second part of the question of how fast can we raise a unit to max level that we got it, because of the Soulstone dungeon, I think that the amount of time that it takes us to reach it is significantly low as well compared to other games. If we run the Soulstone dungeon every day, like an extra attempt, right, so we can get the 10th tier, we can get 40 of these soul stones. We can get 20. Is it 20? No, sorry. Yeah, so we can get 40 on the first run and then 40 more on the second run. So we're basically getting 80 of these soul stone shards a day, which translates to 4 shards that you can buy from the shop. Right? From this soul stone shop here. You can only buy 2 of the unit that you want. And you need 110 shards to fully max out a unit from level 1 to 50, and so that can be done in 55 days. So in less than 2 months, whenever you pull this unit, you can max him out, And again, I think the 55 days is again pretty generous. If like you're not buying anything else, like you're not spending any other rubies on buying their shards, you're not trying to pull for dupes. Usually, the people that have a lot more ruby income are the ones that are doing that. So from a free to play perspective, you're not doing any of that, and you're still being able to max a unit out in 55 days. Again, usually it's a lot longer. Like in the other game that I played, War of the Visions, when I started, usually to max out a unit without buying any more of their shards for the premium currency, it takes about 6 months. So this is 3 times faster. And in other games that I've seen, again, there's like, yeah, this game is a marathon. You have to play it daily and slowly over time, over like 4 months or so, you can finally max the unit out. This game, again, I feel like the time to max out a unit is significantly lower. It's only 55 days. For L plus units, if you're lucky enough to pull one, you can max it out in 110 days. So that's a little bit more, it takes a little bit more time, but I also find that they're so much more powerful as well, so that even at lower levels, they are sometimes better than a level 50 regular legendary. So I feel like, when the second question, how much time does it take to fully max a unit without spending premium currency on it? I feel like that's also reasonably low at 55 days. So I feel like, for the two reasons that I mentioned, I feel like this game is pretty free to play friendly. But there's a third reason as well, and that deals with the Legendary Plus units. I feel like the Legendary Plus units are on a tier that is similar to like the Dark and Light tiers that I see in other games. Like for example, in Summoners, where they have the regular legendary mobs, and then they have the light and dark monsters that are just like so much more powerful than these, and there's no real way to pity them. Like you might be really lucky and get like one in a year, and sometimes you might just never get one. You might be playing for like 2 years and you just never summon one of those units. That happens, right? So in this game, they have actually given you not only a pity to get the legendary plus unit, but you can actually select whichever unit you want. And this updates as soon as the new unit is added. Like for example, Chris was just added, and you can already see him there. You can select him and pull for him. As a free-to-play player, I think I'm going to estimate here because I don't know exactly for a fact, but I think it's going to be about 6 months to fill this bar up from 0 to 140. So every 6 months, you as a free-to-play player are able to pull whichever legendary plus unit you want. And again, I haven't seen this kind of system for like the most rarest tier of units. I haven't seen other games that implement something like that, where they're actually giving you a bar to fill that gets the rarest unit in the game. Usually it's like hidden behind like some VIP 6 or VIP 8 pull or something like that you have to actually spend money to get. But you're actually able to get this unit, like whatever rarest unit that you want, completely free. You just have to actually play it for a while, which I think is fair, because these units are extremely powerful, and they are pretty account changing, especially Cosette. From a PVE standpoint, she's very good, way better than any of the other DPS. So that they give us a method to actually be able to acquire these units for free, guaranteed. All you have to do is pull for it, and you have to make sure you're saving your resources only to pull for this and not using the topaz currency for other things. But if you do that, every 6 months you can pull this in it, and I think I think that that's pretty generous. I think it's a pretty generous system that this game has implemented for a free-to-play player. So for the two reasons I mentioned, and then the bonus reason that I mentioned now, my overall feeling on this game is that it is pretty generous for free-to-play players. I mean, it sometimes, sometimes luck is not on our side. Like we might be trying to pull for this legendary pet that we want, and we just can't seem to get it, and that sucks, right? But for the stuff that they have given us, the stuff that we can reasonably expect to have as a free-to-play player, I think the bar for this game is higher. Like they give us a lot more stuff as a free-to-play player in this game compared to other games. So that's the reason why I would actually rate this as a game that free-to-play players should try, and you actually are able to progress quite well. Summoners were had a mechanic where the units that you needed to really compete the highest tier of dungeons were all like common units. Like if you know the game, like there was like Bernard and Shannon, which were all like very easy to get units, and you needed those units to be able to farm like the tier 10 of that dungeon. So similarly, for a lot of the story stuff, they have these like rare units that you need to progress, right? You have like Gui, whose name I can't pronounce because I just don't know how to pronounce his name. But Gui, he's a green unit, so everyone is going to very easily be able to get him. Um, Adele, same thing, another green unit. Henry, another green unit. Like these are the units that you need to progress in the story. You don't need the latest legendaries. Some of these legendaries might make stuff easier. Like for example, you might do well with the legendary plus Rudy because he's a suppressor, so you can use him instead of the blue Rudy. So it might make things easier to do, but you can definitely progress by just using these like green and rare units. You don't need to get the legendaries. So even like progressing throughout the story doesn't really need you to have the latest and greatest units. So because of that, again, like all the things that I can think of just from a free to play player perspective and what I expect of this game to give me for free, I feel like I'm meeting all those expectations. So overall, like my rating for this game is it is very free to play friendly. Now, if you disagree with me, feel free to write that in the comments. Let me know why you think that way, and maybe also write like what do you expect? Like, what do you expect for a game to give you to say that hey, this is a free to play friendly game, or this is not for these reasons. These are what I expect to be given. Um, and I would like to hear your thoughts. I don't, it's okay if you disagree with me, but let me know what you think. I'm really curious to know what you think as well. And yeah, that's all I have to say on this topic. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any other questions, leave me a comment below, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care now.